Hello, God bless. It's me, Dick Jr. again. I'm coming to you today to read Matthew chapter 16. I'm going to take three references today, and they're all from the same verse when we get to it. But the first one is Mark chapter 8, verse 38. Chapter 8, verse 38 of Mark. The next one is Romans chapter 2, verse 6. Chapter 2, verse 6 of Romans. And then the next one is Psalms chapter 62, verse 12. That's chapter 62, verse 12 of Psalms. Okay, and I've already prayed as usual and asked God to help me speak to you today. And I suggest that whenever you place yourself in the Word, that you ask and pray to God and ask Him to help you through the Holy Spirit to learn and understand what it is He's trying to teach you. Okay, so we're going to start here in verse 1. The Pharisees and Sadducees came up and testing Jesus, they asked Him to show them a sign from heaven. But He replied to them, when it is evening, you say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning there will be a storm today, for the sky is red and threatening. Do you know how to discern the appearance of the sky, but cannot discern the signs of the times? An evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign. And a sign will not be given it except the sign of Jonah. And he left them and went away. And the disciples came to the other side of the sea, but they had forgotten to bring any bread. And Jesus said to them, watch out and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. They began to discuss this among themselves, saying, He said that because we did not bring any bread. But Jesus, aware of this, said, You men of little faith, why do you discuss among yourselves that you have no bread? Do you not yet understand or remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000 and how many baskets full you picked up? Or the 7 loaves of the 4,000 and how many large baskets full you picked up? How is it that you do not understand that I did not speak to you concerning bread? But beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Then they understood that He did not say to beware of the leaven of the bread, but of the teaching of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Now, when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, He was asking His disciples, Who do people say that the Son of Man is? And this is very important that He knows, because His time has not yet come. See, and He wants to know. And they say John the Baptist, and others Elijah, but still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. He said to them, But who do you say that I am? Simon Peter answered, You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said to him, Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And that is how it works. If you don't believe, it's not your fault. Okay? It hasn't been revealed to you yet. And that's the way that it works. Just like He said right here. Flesh and blood can't make you believe. God does this. I also say to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overpower it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And you can ask God to give you that, though. Don't think it's not available to all of us. If you want to believe, ask God. He'll help you. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall have been bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall have been loosed in heaven. Then He warned the disciples that they should tell no one that He was the Christ. And still He doesn't want to be famous, From that time, Jesus began to show His disciples that He must go to Jerusalem, and He was trying to show them in the Scriptures, according to all the prophecies that we know about today, but He was trying to show His disciples. You see what I mean? That's why He says show. That's what I believe, anyway. That He must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised up on the 3rd day. And that's the sign of Jonah, to be killed and raised on the 3rd day. Peter took Him aside and began to rebuke Him, saying, God forbid it. Lord, this shall never happen to you. But it has to happen, or else we don't have salvation through Jesus Christ. See? So this explains why Jesus says this right here. But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me." Meaning, if you're not going to let me do what I have to do, then you have to get away from me. For you are not setting your mind on God's interests, but man's. And you're not setting your mind on what God needs me to do, but what you want, Peter. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. And this flesh that I am in is my cross, and I have to follow him. I take this flesh and I follow him every day. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world but forfeits his soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in the glory of his Father with angels, and will then repay every man according to his deeds." And this is verse 27, and this is the verse where I'm going to take these references. So first we're going to go to Mark 8:38. For whoever is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will also be ashamed of him when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. And here again, Jesus is talking about this time. Then we're going to go to Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 2, verse 6. Sorry about that. And that says, "Who will render to each person according to his deeds?" And this is speaking of this time. I'm going to go up to verse 5. "But because of your stubbornness and unrepentant hearts, you are storing up wrath for yourselves in the day of wrath and revelation of the righteous judgment of God, who will render to each person according to his deeds." Does that clear it up a little bit more about where I was going with that one? And then the next one that I marked was Psalms 62:12. And Psalm 62:12, the whole verse says, "And loving kindness is yours, O Lord, for you recompense a man according to his work." But the reference, I believe, is probably to where it says, "For you recompense a man according to his work." Speaking of God, you recompense a man according to the work that he does. I'm not talking about like if you're a garbage man. I'm talking about the work of his heart. You know what I mean? So let's go back to Matthew chapter 16. All right. Verse 28 is where we're going to take off again. "Truly I say to you, there are some of those who are standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." And that's the last verse of this chapter. So I am going to let you guys go and tell you thank you and God bless.